Hello fashion lovers, today we are doing a basic bodice, basic bodice. So first and foremost, you get your starting point line. Here is my starting point line. Then you measure down your chest line, which is 10, and my waistline, which is 16 and a half, and my blouse length, here I'm using 22. You can choose to use the length of the measurement you have on your client. It could be 22, it could be 24, it could be 27, depends on how tall and huge your client is. So therefore you mark out the lines. Then the next thing, you come up from your chest line by 1.5 to get your armhole line. This is where your armhole curve will rest. So you mark out this line. This is where your armhole curve will rest. Then the next thing you do is to determine your shoulder. My shoulder is 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I mark it at the starting point and also at the armhole line. Then I connected with a straight line. Here that I've connected, the next thing I will do is to determine my neckline. So I'm using the basic, which is 3 by 3. This varies depending on the style you're making, and even how big the person is, because you can't use 3 by 3 for someone that has almost 17, 18 round neck, So the next, you go and do your shoulder slant, which you come down by 1 inch and then connect it to your neckline. This is called shoulder slant. Then the next thing you determine is your nipple point. My nipple to nipple here is 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I mark it at the waist, at the hem, and also at the bust, and I connected it with a straight line. Note, it must not be 8. You measure your client and be sure of this. Then the next thing you do is to add your dart leg. Here I'm using 1/2 inch on both sides. You can choose to use 0.75 depending on what you are making and how huge your client is too. But 0.5 on both sides is also a standard measurement. You come down by by 1 inch from your bust line. Come down by 1 inch in order to connect this line. You are doing this so you don't have a sharp point. So you eliminate every sharp point that might be seen. So once you do this, you also come up by 2 inches or 3 inches from your blouse length. Come up and then measure, and then connect back that leg. Connect back that leg. Connect it back to it. Is either by 2 inches or 3 inches above from your blouse length. You connect it this way. Then the next thing you do is to add your measurement, is to impute your measurement. The next thing you do is to impute your measurement. My bust here is 36 divided by 4 is 9. Then with this 9 first at the armhole, I want to determine my armhole curve. So I divided my armhole line by 2, then came in by 1/2 an inch. Then connect these 3 points, the one of my measurement, the one I came in, and then the tip of my armhole. Connect these 3 points together. Connect it with your French curve. You can use a straight ruler. You can use this part of your curve ruler to do it. It's still going to give you the same effect. Then you go ahead and impute the rest of your measurements. Here my waist measurement is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7, plus the 1 inch that we used for that. So we'll replace that 1 inch, which will make it 8. So I mark 8 at the hem, which is my blouse length, is my hip, divided by 4, which is 10, and I marked. Then connect these lines with a straight line. Here we are. So The next thing we do is to come up here by 1 inch in order not to have a pointy end. So we connect it back to the dot line. Just note how I'm turning my curve ruler so it can give me a perfect shape. There we are. This is your basic bodice. All these shaded parts are to be cut out. You no longer need them. You shade it out. On here. Then here your front pattern is ready. So the next thing that you will do is to determine the difference between your front length and your back length. Here, the difference between my front and back is my front shoulder to waist is 16.5, then shoulder to waist for the back is 15. Then 15 minus 16.5 is 1.5. So I'll do a bust dart to eliminate that, which I come down from my bust point by 1.5 to determine this. Then I connect it to the bust point. Also shade it out because it's going to be cut out. It's either you hold it to sew these darts or you cut them out entirely and then cut out on your fabric. It depends on how and what you want to make.